So this is why when I talk about what persons say and do in football matters and why the world is how it is. It's because of this very same reason. Now, Luke Edwards is a journalist who's a correspondent for the Newcastle United club that does articles for them. And he has done a recent one in terms of how Liverpool have bullied Newcastle owners into selling ISAK. Bullied. But that's not even the bad part. That's not even the worst part. He has posted on Twitter stating that as of April this year, there were football insiders, particularly in the Newcastle hierarchy, that were wondering if Alexander Isak was throwing games for them not to qualify for Champions League so that it can strengthen his position to leave the club this summer. That is a strong, and I'm going to say that's a very damn strong allegation to make or accusation to make. And that is absolutely horrible to even think that this man, and I'm going to say this, any Newcastle fan that's watching me, you can disagree or agree, you can let me know in the comments after you like this video. Alexander Isak is the only striker so far in your club's history to give you a cup, win you a competition in over 70 years. The greatest Premier League goal scorer in Alan Shearer, who went back to his boyhood club after transferring from Blackburn Rovers in, I think, 1996 or 97, did not win a single thing with Newcastle United. This young man, Alexander Isak, transfers from Real Sociedad in the summer of 2022. Took them 3 years, or took him 3 years to win their first major trophy in 70 years. And where was this accusation, I might ask? Where exactly were persons wondering, oh, you know, he might be match fixing some of the games because he's scoring? That is a crazy accusation to make from Luke Edwards. And I think that's disgusting. And I'm not just talking as a Liverpool fan. Bear with me. I'm talking as a football fan in general. To make a claim to an already tired Alexander Isak of this whole saga, and now to add more fuel to the fire to Newcastle fans, because there are some who are just idiots. Let's just be real and truthful about this. To make such a claim and accusation is disgusting. I can't find a better word. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And the one thing that Denzel Washington said in an interview was that everybody wants to be first, but no one wants to speak the truth. When it comes on to journalism, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know the ins and outs, but what I do know is that the sources has to be on point. I'm not saying that they're not. And also, you also have to understand the climate as to when you are going to write an article and post it. To write the article now, when Newcastle fans already have called him a rat, some have already begin to speak out that, boy, I hope when he's injured, it happens for the rest of his career. Some have hope that he will break his leg. That is what people, Newcastle fans, have said out of their mouth through Jordy, the main content creator. When they say, I hope once he breaks his leg, I'll be happy and elated and celebrating for that. And to write this, to state that this young man was being thought of match fixing so that it can strengthen his position to leave the club at the summer. Are we like, do we hear ourselves? Like, when it coming out of my mouth, do you hear what I'm saying, people? Lucas Paqueta from West Ham was already charged for match fixing and had to be pulled aside. And he was guilty of the charges. But to state that this young man, one of the best, if not the best striker in the world, would want to sabotage a club that he has won a trophy for, that did not win a trophy for all the time, for 70 years, that's 7 decades, that Alan Shearer could not do, that many great players before ISAK for Newcastle could not do, and he is relegated now to being a match fixer in games. Luke Edwards should be ashamed of himself. He's a disgusting human being to even think that. I want persons to know, because of this, you know how social media is. You know how some persons are going to run with it as gospel. This now leads or opens the door to racism, in essence. The fact that now persons have changed him into a rat, probably some have changed him into a monkey, we don't know. This is just me saying that. But the fact that he said that, it now opens the door for possibly, if not already, racist remarks. Something that the football world, in fact, the world itself is trying to get rid of. And because you are hurt, because you are disgusted with how things have happened and didn't go your way, because the Newcastle board were weak or bullied by Liverpool to get Alexander Isak, he has now been accused of match fixing. And based on a report that I read today, it could be possible that Alexander could sue for defamation of character. It is a possibility. That could come up later, down probably next year, later in this year, we don't know. But it speaks again to when I say that football, there is no loyalty in football. And I wasn't even talking transfers. I'm talking to even myself as a fan, how I felt when Trent left. I never for once thought that Trent was a rat. I never for once thought that Trent was a disgusting human being and he was probably match fixing. What we normally accuse players of is when a huge transfer happens and probably their head is turned. Nothing is wrong with that. If you're playing for Newcastle and Real Madrid calls you and you want to go to Real Madrid, it's a possibility that your performance is going to sink because your head is turned. Nothing is wrong with that. That is just human nature. But the fact that you're accusing this young man of making a decision to sabotage a club, of qualifying for one, if not the biggest club stage in world football, so that he can go to Liverpool? Really? Really? And no, it's not the same thing as Trent. What Liverpool fans are upset with Trent is that you strung us along knowing that you left. You didn't want to renew your contract. You ignored the contract. You leave it alone and you said certain things. It's not the same thing. It's not. Yes, we booed him. Rightfully so for some. But it's not the same thing. And Luke Edwards, if you are, hopefully you can see this video. I find you disgusting for you to say that about a footballer. For one that played for your club, that gave you a trophy, that scored over 50 odd goals, that killed giant teams like Manchester City, United, Liverpool. And because it didn't go your way, this is what you resort to. It speaks volume to someone's character, whether or not you are a journalist, whether you are a CEO or not. It speaks volumes to how you are as a human being. And I do hope Alexander Isak scores all the goals that he needs for Liverpool. And I hope that when we face Newcastle in whatever competition, I pray to the good Lord that he scores at least 5 goals on you. I really hope so. But guys, let me know. Like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell. Until next time, guys. Peace.